Chapter 32 Lu Meier's Vicious Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You, hateful. Ling Zhao's face was ashen. He didn't expect to be deceived by Lu Meier in this way, and he was extremely angry. At this moment, he suddenly regretted that he hadn't listened to the mysterious man outside just now. Lu Meier, on the way we came, we met other practitioners. If we all died here and you were the only one who escaped alive, after investigations by several dynasties, you must be the first to suspect. A princess of the Dian dynasty shouted coquettishly. The others also looked at Lu Meier coldly. Hee, don't worry. Several dynasties can't suspect me. Lu Meier chuckled, and said triumphantly, before entering the mountain range, I deliberately stimulated Qin Feng and made him say something obviously aimed at Qin Zining. As long as both of you and Qin Feng can't get out of this mountain range, then Qin Feng will be the scapegoat for defecting to the demon clan. At that time, maybe it can trigger a war between several great dynasties and Jinyangzong, and the rise of my Cold Moon sect will be even faster. She had asked her junior sisters from the same sect to get close to Qin Feng and poison them to take Qin Feng's life. Qin Feng and his fellow apprentices would definitely not be able to leave the mountain range alive, and the dead are indefensible. What a vicious scheme, that when Ling Xiao heard Lu Meier's words, his back felt chills. It was enough to shock them that Lu Meier took refuge in the demon. Unexpectedly, Lu Meier's heart was so vicious. Great River Sword Intent. And at this moment, only Qin Zining didn't curse Lu Meier, but was looking for an opportunity, and at this moment, he directly cast the strongest sword technique and struck instantly. The powerful sword Intent, like a river, galloped towards Tu Ming. Want to sneak up on me? Stupid. Seeing this, Tu Ming didn't care. With a wave of his sleeve, the majestic devil energy collided with the surging sword Intent. Violent energy fluctuations erupted. Qin Zining and the others were all thrown out and fell hundreds of feet away, and this is exactly Qin Zining's goal. After she landed, she flew directly towards the direction outside the valley, and said coquettishly, his concealment formation must only cover the valley. If we escape, he will definitely not dare to go out and catch us. Otherwise, they will be killed by the formation of the entire Demon Mountain range. This is the result of her rational speculation. If not, there is absolutely no need for Lu Meier to trick them all into this valley. When the other people heard the words, their eyes lit up, and they quickly used the fastest speed to fly away in the direction outside the valley. You guys are smart. My formation really can only cover within the range of the valley. Seeing this, Tu Ming laughed and said, it's a pity that you overestimated yourself. It is impossible for you to escape out of the valley. He waved his big sleeve, and in the valley, there was a surge of devilish energy. Those tumbling demonic energy, like a gust of wind, swept towards Qin Zining and the others. The people who were about to reach Taniguchi were all swept back by this gust-like demonic energy. Plop, plop. Everyone fell in front of the demon one after another. All of them are in a mess. It has already fallen into Master Tu Ming's hands, and you still want to escape. Don't think about it. Lu Meier said coldly. This deity is invincible in this mountain range. Even if the heavenly king Lao Tzu comes today, he will not be able to save you. Tu Ming said in an incomparably arrogant way. As he said that, he wanted to drain Qin Zining's blood from their bodies, and then leave the mummified corpses to arrange the formation. When Qin Zining and the others saw this, they all looked desperate. Their guardians are all outside the mountains, and no one can come in to save them. I'm afraid they will really die here today. However, at this moment, a calm voice sounded in the valley. Are you sure you are invincible here? Who? When Tu Ming heard the voice, his face changed and he shouted, but he followed the sound and saw a figure in a black robe walking slowly in the distance. It's him. Seeing Qin Feng in black robe, Lu Meier hurriedly said to Tu Ming, this guy knows that you are at the Purple Mansion realm. He was outside the valley just now and reminded us not to come in. Oh. Tu Ming heard the words, and murmured, could it be that there is a flaw in my concealment formation, which leaked a trace of powerful coercion? Although it was not discovered by the formation that blocked the mountain range, it was discovered by this person, that he felt sure, because under normal circumstances, it is impossible for anyone to discover his true cultivation. Tu Ming then looked at Qin Feng and said, "You actually know that I am at the Zifu realm, why do you dare to come in?" That what he was curious about was this question. He was guessing whether Qin Feng wanted to be loyal to him. "Of course I will kill you," Qin Feng said indifferently. "Although you're mere Purple Mansion Realm first layer mid-stage cultivation base, even if you escaped from the mountains, there is no threat, but since they are here, they just happen to kill you." As soon as these words came out, Tu Ming's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He originally thought that Qin Feng was here to serve him, but he never thought that Qin Feng would actually say that he wanted to kill him. Extremely arrogant. Tu Ming said angrily, "Who do you think you are? You can't be a strong person in the Purple Mansion. You want to kill this deity, it's just a dream." He knows best how powerful the formation that blocks the mountains is. The reason why he was able not to be discovered by this formation was because the demon formation was weird, and he was a powerful formation master before, so he was able to do it, based on his understanding of the current Kanglan territory. There is no formation mage in the entire Kanglan territory who can create such a formation and enter this mountain range with a hidden cultivation base. You can't help but believe it. While Qin Feng was speaking, he took out a long sword from the ring. Under normal circumstances, if he wants to kill Tu Ming, he doesn't need to draw his sword at all, just a random sword light is enough, but the formation in the evil mountain range suppressed him very badly, and he could only show his strength at the peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm, so just to be on the safe side, he also took out a long sword from the ring. This sword is very ordinary, just a long sword, but as long as it can be used as a carrier is enough. Humph. Stop pretending, and die to me. Tu Ming snorted coldly. As he spoke, he squeezed out a magic talisman with both hands, and went directly towards Qin Feng to suppress it. The magic talisman was an incomparably weird pattern, composed of astonishing devil energy, carrying an astonishing aura. It had already arrived in front of Qin Feng in the blink of an eye, to kill Qin Feng directly. This terrifying magic talisman shocked Qin Zening and the others. At this moment, they really saw the power of cultivators in the Zifu realm, can't give birth to any resistance at all. They all looked at Qin Feng with worried eyes, thinking that he could not be Tu Ming's opponent at all. At this time, Qin Feng's expression was indifferent. The long sword in his hand erupted with an astonishing sword intent of fire, and the fiery red sword light was extremely dazzling at this moment. Boom! Qin Feng slashed out with a sword. The magic talisman that came from the suppression in front of him was torn apart in an instant, and dissipated in the sky and the earth. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How is it possible? This magic talisman of mine can easily kill even the strong of the 9th level of the Luanhai realm. How could you cut it into pieces with such an easy sword strike? Tu Ming paled in shock, his eyes were full of disbelief. Just now he felt that Qin Feng might be weird, and he made a special magic talisman, thinking that he already valued Qin Feng enough, but never thought Qin Feng's strength was beyond his imagination. In this world, nothing is impossible. Qin Feng said lightly. While speaking, his figure moved instantly, and this time he took the initiative to kill Tu Ming. His speed was extremely fast, almost in the blink of an eye. He had already arrived in front of Tu Ming. The long sword that was burning like a flame in his hand slashed out fiercely. Not good. At such a close distance, Tu Ming finally felt Qin Feng's strength and turned pale with shock. He quickly gathered the majestic spiritual energy in front of him, forming a black barrier, trying to block Qin Feng's sword. Boom! It's a pity that although Qin Feng's cultivation was suppressed to the peak of the first layer of the Zifu realm, he was still above Tu Ming, and this sword directly smashed Tu Ming's barrier to pieces. Tu Ming was directly sent flying, and hit the ground in the distance heavily, making a big hole in the ground. There was a huge sword wound on his chest, but he had abandoned his body long ago, so he didn't bleed, but the scar was still very scary. The peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm. Your cultivation is actually at the peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm. Tu Ming stared at Qin Feng, his eyes were full of disbelief and said, "How is this possible? There is a formation in this mountain range, and even the practitioners of the Luanhai state cannot enter. How could you come here with your cultivation at the peak of the first layer of Purple Mansion realm?" Not only him, but everyone present were shocked by Qin Feng's astonishing cultivation. they are all members of the royal family, and they know how powerful the formation that seals the mountains is, but they can't figure out how Qin Feng got in. However, this was good news for them after all. Amidst the shock, everyone was very happy, and secretly cheered Qin Feng in their hearts. You don't deserve to know about this question. Qin Feng looked at the shocked Tu Ming and said coldly, naturally, it was impossible for him to tell this demon the secret of his Primordial Chaos Sword Body. While speaking, the long sword in Qin Feng's hand, the fiery red sword intent surged again like a raging flame. Stupid human being, do you really think that you can kill me if you are stronger than me? Tu Ming said sternly, this valley is full of magic formations that I set up. The magic energy in this valley can be replenished for me at any time. Even if I keep consuming it today, I will still consume you to death. While speaking, the devilish energy between heaven and earth surged towards him. In an instant, the devilish energy repaired the terrible sword marks cut by the long sword, and his state returned to its peak again. It seems that I still underestimate the formation you set up. Qin Feng muttered to himself. He just used his divine pupils to look at it, and found that there was no killing magic circle in it, so he came in directly. He didn't expect that this magic circle could replenish Tu Ming's infinite magic energy and restore his injuries. Haha. Do you know how to be afraid now? Unfortunately, it's too late. Tu Ming laughed loudly, and said, I will never let you leave today, so just obediently be my blood food. His eyes were full of greed and excitement. After he devours such a human blood food in the Purple Mansion, his cultivation level will definitely be greatly improved. He will never let it go. Afraid? You are not qualified to make me afraid. Qin Feng said lightly, since you have been injured, this magic formation can replenish you constantly, and I will kill you with a single sword, so that your soul will be scattered. He didn't intend to use swordsmanship at first, because he thought it was completely unnecessary, and Tu Ming couldn't even hold his ordinary two swords. Now that Tu Ming can recover indefinitely, he doesn't mind using swordsmanship, and Tu Ming is gone in seconds. Haha. Everyone is also at the first level of the Purple Mansion realm. Even if you have reached the peak of the first level and are stronger than me, the gap is limited. You can seriously injure me, but it is absolutely impossible to kill me instantly. Tu Ming laughed loudly, I don't believe Qin Feng that you can do it at all. Only those who have reached the second level of the Zifu realm can kill him instantly. Really? Then you can take a look at it. My sword is called Desolate Meteor Severing God Slash. While speaking, the fiery red sword intent of the long sword in Qin Feng's hand gradually dissipated, followed by the golden light of the long sword gradually shining. A series of golden inscriptions, in the shape of a ring, surround the hilt of his sword, exuding the aura of ancient and wild swordsmanship. Boom! Qin Feng slashed out with a sword, and the golden sword glows several feet long, mixed with a large number of inscriptions, swept towards Tu Ming directly. Wherever they passed, deep ravines were left on the ground, which was extremely terrifying and astonishing. Seeing this sword glow, Tu Ming was finally terrified. He felt that death was approaching fast. This sword is too terrifying. He frantically gathered the devilish energy in the valley and formed a pitch-black barrier, trying to block the sword. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the sword slashed on the barrier, and violent fluctuations of spiritual energy erupted. The golden sword glow and the black magic energy filled the entire valley. Even though Qin Zining and the others had escaped to a long distance, they quickly protected their bodies with spiritual energy to block the astonishing fluctuations of spiritual energy. In an instant, Tu Ming's condensed black barrier was shattered, and he faced the astonishing sword glow. How could this happen? You are clearly the peak of the first layer of the Zifu realm. How could you make such a terrifying sword? Tu Ming let out a desperate roar. He could never have imagined that Qin Feng was the Primordial Chaos Sword Body, and even though his cultivation had been suppressed to the peak of the first layer of the Purple Mansion realm, his actual combat power was far more than that. As soon as his words fell, he was cut to the body by this amazing sword glow, and exploded directly. Boom! With a loud bang, Tu Ming was completely destroyed. Even though the valley is full of his formations, which can replenish his magic energy at any time, it still doesn't help. After Tu Ming died, there was silence in the valley. Qin Zining and Ling Xiao felt like a dream when they saw everything in front of them. In just one day, they experienced great joy and great sorrow. For young them, it was quite a shock. While Qin Zining and Ling Xiao were in a daze, Qin Feng had already stepped forward and came to Lu Meier. "No. Don't kill me, please don't kill me." Lu Meier, who was also disappointed and shocked by Tu Ming, quickly backed away in horror, saying, "I am also a human being, I am not a demon. As long as you don't kill me, you can do whatever you want me to do." As long as she was able to live, even if she was Qin Feng's slave and let Qin Feng play with her, she would definitely not have any opinions. She is afraid of death. "You are of little value to me," Qin Feng said lightly. As he spoke, he moved his fingers slowly, and a sword beam shot towards Lu Meier. Chapter 34 Familiar Voice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Meier's body was pierced by the sword light, her eyes became lifeless in an instant, she lost her vitality, and fell heavily to the ground. Before she died, her eyes were full of disbelief. She never thought that Qin Feng would kill her so decisively without any mercy. Her beauty didn't even save her life. Boom! With a muffled sound, Lu Meier's body fell heavily on the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Qin Zining and the others, who were still in shock, finally came to their senses. "Thank you for your help, Senior." Everyone thanked Qin Feng one after another. His eyes were filled with admiration and gratitude. With such a powerful Tu Ming, they were already desperate, thinking that they were doomed, but they didn't expect to be killed so easily by Qin Feng, save them from danger. "You don't need to thank me, it's your own luck to survive today," Qin Feng said lightly. If they were not in the same team as Qin Zining, their fate today would be unknown. Ling Xiao and the others all looked blank, not understanding why Qin Feng said that. "Hurry up and go. I still have something to do here, and I don't want to be disturbed," Qin Feng said lightly. He also wants to use the devilish energy here to strengthen the Buddhist Pure Land. When Ling Xiao and the others heard the words, they all nodded. "Senior, have we met somewhere? I feel that your voice is somewhat familiar." At this moment, Qin Zining suddenly asked. She faintly felt that this voice seemed to be heard somewhere, and it was a little familiar, but when she thought about it carefully, she found that it was different from anyone she had known before. "Maybe," Qin Feng said lightly. Qin Zining wanted to say something, but the seventh princess of the dynasty beside her pulled her and walked out of the valley. Ling Xiao and the others also left one after another. "Sister Zining, I didn't expect that. Normally, you look aloof and reject the pursuit of your peers, but now you are so proactive when facing this martial arts senior." After walking out of the valley, the seventh princess of the dynasty immediately exchanged laughter. "Ah! What are you talking about? Why can't I understand?" Qin Zining said with a blank face. "You're still pretending." Princess Diane VII seemed to have seen through Qin Zining, and said with a smile, "You just said that Senior's voice is very familiar, didn't you just want to find a reason to approach him? It's a pity that when those strong men want to find a partner, they definitely don't just look at their looks. In his eyes, we are just kids, so we can't get into his eyes at all." The other princesses also made fun of Qin Zining. "I feel that Qin Zining is cold on the outside and hot on the inside." "What are you talking about?" "I'm serious, I really think that Senior's voice is very familiar." Qin Zining heard everyone's ridicule, her pretty face blushed immediately, and said hastily. However, her words caused more ridicule and doubts from the other princesses. "That Senior just used the sword intent of fire. If there is no accident, he is the mysterious person who killed Shi Feng of the Nanman clan. He is not from your great Xia dynasty at all. How could you be familiar with him?" "That's right. At most, you may have met that Senior without knowing it. I'm afraid you haven't met the second time. How come the voice is familiar?" No one believed what Qin Zining said. They all believed that Qin Zining definitely had special thoughts about that Senior because of admiration in her heart, so she deliberately said that the voice was familiar and wanted to get close to that Senior. Listening to these people's speculations, Qin Zining became uncertain. could it be that the familiar voice of that senior was really just her illusion? Just now, because it was too shocking, it caused memory confusion. In this doubt, Qin Zining also followed the crowd and walked towards the direction outside the valley. In the valley, after everyone left, Qin Feng began to look around. The devil energy here is very abundant, which can help me strengthen the pure land of Buddhism. Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated, and sat cross-legged on the ground. A dazzling golden light was released from his body. The sacred aura, centered on Qin Feng, swept around. There is a range of about 10 feet, and within this area, there are not only sacred Buddha lights, but also a large number of Buddhist texts suspended in the air. It is completely incompatible with the strange scene around. Boom boom. And as Qin Feng's cultivation progressed, the devilish energy in the surrounding world suddenly surged towards this side. The scene was incomparably astonishing. Seen from the sky, the devilish energy in the valley almost formed a huge vortex, and Qin Feng, who displayed the pure land of Buddhism, was in the center of the vortex. If people who don't know come in, they may think that there is a big devil practicing here. And as these demonic qi were continuously absorbed, the scope of the Buddhist Pure Land gradually expanded. It's just that the speed of this scope expansion is not fast, but fortunately, there is enough magic here. At the entrance to the Demon Mountains, one after another, cultivators who have found their own satisfactory treasures have come out of it. On a mountain peak in the distance, 2 figures stood here. It's been so long, I guess Meier's plan should have succeeded, that the third elder of Hanyua's sect murmured. It's almost time to count. Lu Meier's guardian said slowly. Meier has broken through to the Luanhai realm at such a young age, and she will definitely have a bright future in the future. Although letting the demon help to forcibly improve the cultivation level will have a great impact on future breakthroughs, but in the future, if Lu Meier and the others are completely enchanted and become demons, then this influence will naturally disappear. Demons directly devouring other people's cultivation bases will not affect future cultivation breakthroughs. And it is naturally no problem to be forcibly raised by other demons. It's not just Lu Meier, but after Master Tu Ming comes out, our entire Cold Moon sect will rise along with it. The eyes of the third elder of Hanyua's sect were full of excitement. Lu Meier's guardian also had a longing look on his face, as if he had seen the scene where the Hanyua sect had leapt to become the largest force in the Kanglan region, and all the major dynasties and sects had surrendered. However, at this moment, the appearance of several figures caught the attention of the two of them. Qin Zining and Ling Xiao walked out of the secret realm. Ling Xiao. Why did you come out so quickly? An old man suddenly appeared from the shadows and said with a puzzled expression. He is naturally Ling Xiao's guardian. The entire secret realm was open for a day and a night, and he didn't understand why Ling Xiao came out so soon. Why didn't he continue to search for treasures inside? And just as Ling Xiao's guardian exclaimed, several other figures also appeared. Appearing at the exit of the secret realm, the protectors of Qin Zining and others asked with puzzled expressions. Qin Zining and Ling Xiao didn't even know that they were being protected by Dao protectors in the process of training, and they were startled when they saw their royal families' offerings suddenly appear. However, after hearing the explanations from these Dao protectors, Qin Zining and Ling Xiao quickly understood why the royal family sent these powerful men to secretly protect the Dao. After all, for the royal family, their experience is very important, but safety is also very important. Therefore, in the process of experience, it is the best way to let the strong guard the way secretly. Chapter 35 Demon Mountain Sign-In. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why did they all come out? Shouldn't they all have been killed by Lord Tu Ming at this time? Seeing Qin Zining and the others, the third elder of Hanyua sect and Lu Meier's guardian, they were all shocked. According to Lu Meier's plan, Qin Zining and the others should have been lured into the valley long ago, and shouldn't appear here. The two looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. The two of them felt a little uneasy. Maybe Lu Meier's plan was exposed. If this is the case, they should leave immediately and notify the Zongmen. The plan should not have been exposed. The third elder of the Hanyua sect said, with Meier's intelligence and dexterity, even if she doesn't succeed in deceiving her, she won't reveal her plan. The reason why these princes and princesses came out together should be some accident during the training process. Lu Meier's protector nodded thoughtfully when he heard the words, thinking it made sense. they decided to wait here and see what Meier had to say when she came out. At this time, Qin Zining and Ling Xiao had been brought into a deserted dense forest, and began to tell their guardians what happened in the valley. During the whole process, the expressions of these guardians were extremely exciting. The Cold Moon sect is actually cooperating with the demon. And in the valley, the demon's cultivation has already broken through the limit of the formation that blocks the mountain range, and has reached the first level of the Purple Mansion realm. Ling Xiao's guardian was shocked. The news was so shocking, compared with other sects that showed their dissatisfaction with the major dynasties on weekdays. The Hanyu sect has always been very gentle, they have both sides, and they seem very harmless. He couldn't believe that the Cold Moon sect would cooperate with the demons. We were also very shocked when we saw Meier bow down to the demon, but that's the truth. The seventh princess of the Great Yan dynasty said slowly. Many guardians present looked at each other in blank dismay, completely shocked. Then how did you escape? The black robe enshrined who secretly protected Qin Zining couldn't help but ask. It stands to reason that with the existence of evil spirits in the Purple Mansion realm, it is impossible for Qin Zining and the others to escape with their mere cultivation of the spirit transformation realm. A mysterious strongman saved us. Qin Zining then told the royal priest what happened afterwards, and the many protectors who were already shocked, are now even more shocked. The sword intent of fire should be the mysterious person who killed Qin Feng. He actually managed to ignore the formation of the demon mountain range and enter the mountain range. What is his identity? The eyes of the black-robed priest were full of unbelievable words, but the guardians of the other people smiled wryly when they heard the words, and they didn't know it at all. I can't imagine how such a strong person can appear. I'm afraid that mysterious person got the inheritance of a fallen strong man during the Great Demon Sealing War. Ling Xiao's guardian speculated. During the Great Demon Sealing War, countless strong men fell, and the places where they died spread across many places in the Kanglan territory. Although many were killed, all the treasures and exercises on their bodies were searched by the evil spirits, and even the corpses were devoured. But there are also those strong men who killed the demons after fighting the demons, but were seriously injured. This kind of inheritance of the strong can generally be preserved intact. Although this kind of place is hard to find, not everyone is lucky enough to get these inheritances. That's the only possibility. Under normal circumstances, it's hard for even the powerhouse of the third layer of the Purple Mansion realm to appear, let alone the ability to enter this evil mountain range. The black robe worshipped slowly. He was happy. If it wasn't for that mysterious person who rescued Qin Zining, not only would it have dealt a huge blow to the Great Xia dynasty, but as a protector, he would have died as well. Several other protectors also agreed with this guess and nodded, and then, everyone began to discuss how to find Meier's guardian. Everyone is strong in the same realm, and they still have an absolute advantage in numbers. If you look around here, you will definitely be able to find them. After capturing Meier's guardian, all the dynasties must interrogate together to see the details of the collusion between the Cold Moon sect and the evil spirits. Someone suggested. The other strong men all nodded. This is the most fair. They are not worried about not being able to get something out of the trial. The Ministry of Punishment and Jinui of the major dynasties used a lot of torture. After the discussion, Qin Zining and their guardian immediately began to search for the trace of Meier's guardian. Although the third elder of Hanyu sect and Meier's protector tried their best to hide their aura, they quickly revealed their positions. After being searched by so many strong men, the two of them were still waiting for Meier to come out and asked what happened. Seeing so many strong men quickly surrounded her, her face turned ashen, and she finally understood that Meier not only failed to deceive, but also leaked her plan. How could this be? With Meier's ingenuity, even if the deception fails, she shouldn't have leaked the plan. Meier's guardian said angrily in confusion. She couldn't figure it out no matter what. Meier's failure was doomed from the moment she noticed the abnormal fluctuations in the Demon Mountain formation. If they stopped at that time, they might still have a good result, but unfortunately they were careless. For a whole month, Qin Feng sat cross-legged in the valley without moving a muscle, meditating to absorb the devil energy. In the valley, the devilish energy that was originally like a vortex, forming a large black mist, is now almost transparent and very rare. The Buddhist Pure Land around him has also expanded to 30 feet. During this period, not only demonic energy was absorbed in, but even many demons. who sensed the abnormality here to check, were also absorbed in and turned into Taoist Buddha lights. The magic energy is not as strong as before. At this moment, Qin Feng suddenly opened his eyes and murmured, although there is still a lot of magic energy in the entire mountain range, it is scattered in various places. If you want to continue to absorb, the speed is too slow. Forget it, let's do this first. Qin Feng got up slowly, and murmured, whenever we encounter evil spirits again, we will strengthen this Buddhist Pure Land. With a slight movement of his thoughts, the Buddhist Pure Land with a radius of 30 feet also disappeared. Then, he called out the system and said, "System, I want to sign in." Ding! Congratulations to the Master, you have successfully signed in at the Demon Mountain Range, and you will get the reward See Rising Moon, accompanied by the prompt sound of the mechanical version of the system. In Qin Feng system space, there is an extra scroll. The moon rises from the sea. What is this? Qin Feng muttered in doubt. While speaking, he cast his eyes on the scroll. He recalled every novel he had read, but he couldn't remember such a thing in any novel. I only know that there is a poem by Zhang Jiuling, which is called The Bright Moon is Born on the Sea, and the end of the world is at this moment. With doubts in his heart, Qin Feng slowly unfolded the scroll. Chapter 36 Returning to the Imperial City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Qin Feng slowly unfolded the scroll, a magnificent picture scroll appeared in front of him. Under the pitch-black night, stood a phantom, and behind that phantom was an extremely special scene. The blue sea was tumbling, and a bright moon exuding pure white brilliance slowly rose, like water and moonlight falling in the blue sea, sparkling. I don't know if the power of this rising sea and bright moon is strong, but it should be quite handsome when used. Qin Feng looked at the picture scroll unfolded in front of him, and said to himself, he is quite satisfied with this sign-in reward. After all, whether you are strong or not is a matter of a moment, but whether you are handsome or not is a matter of a lifetime. After that, Qin Feng didn't hesitate anymore, and immediately chose to merge this vision. In an instant, a large amount of mysterious and complicated information entered Qin Feng's mind. The process is quick, but this only allowed him to integrate the information of the rising sea and the bright moon. If he wants to master and use it proficiently, he still needs a lot of time to practice. After merging with the rising moon from the sea, Qin Feng left the valley. At this time, the mountain range has been blocked again by the formation, but it was very easy for Qin Feng to go out. Arriving at the entrance of the mountain range, in Qin Feng's eyes, mysterious runes emerged. All the patterns of the entire formation clearly appeared in front of him. Qin Feng, who has signed many ancient books on formation techniques, has long been a real formation mage. Looking at these formation patterns, he easily found a few key formation patterns. On Qin Feng's finger, a faint sword light surged, and he slid gently. A pattern was broken. The entrance that had been blocked was reopened at this time. However, this is the formation pattern carefully selected by Qin Feng. Even if it breaks, it will not affect the formation of the entire mountain range. Crack! Qin Feng lightly crushed the sword glow on his fingertips, and streaks of brilliance fell on the ground, and began to slowly condense to complete the broken pattern. At the same time, he strode outside. Just as Qin Feng walked out of the mountain range, the pattern was completed successfully, and the entrance was closed again. He flew in the direction of the Great Xia dynasty. After returning to the Imperial Mausoleum, no one noticed that Qin Feng had left before. There are probably not more than 5 people who still think of Qin Feng in the entire Imperial City. After such a big circle, it's time to take a good rest. Qin Feng muttered to himself, sometimes go out more, walk around, and you will find that you are still comfortable lying at home. With a wave of his sleeve, the dust on the lounge chair was blown away by the wind. Lie back on the deck chair again. Chong! Qin Feng took out a wisp of sword energy from the ring, made it wrap around his wrist like a bracelet, and then slowly closed his eyes. The Longevity Sutra that runs automatically in his body will help him absorb sword energy automatically and turn it into spiritual energy to improve his cultivation. The Imperial Mausoleum fell into silence again. Only animals that occasionally forage for food make rustling sounds. Time is like running water. A year and a half passed quickly. One day at noon. It was the day when the Imperial Forest Army came to deliver dry food. However, it was Chu Xiong who came today. he hasn't been seen for a long time. This surprised Qin Feng slightly. Your Highness, did you disturb your rest? Chu Xiong, who was delivering dry food to the room, saw that Qin Feng was still resting at noon, thought he didn't sleep well last night, so he didn't intend to disturb him. I didn't expect that I would disturb Qin Feng by being so light-hearted. He couldn't help sighing a little. Qin Feng stayed here for so many years, but his heart was still affected after all, otherwise he wouldn't be so sensitive and would be awakened like this. Fortunately. Qin Feng said lightly, have you finished your training and study in the academy? It's been more than a year. I was sent to take up a position in the army. I originally wanted to come and see His Highness, but because of the matter of the Cold Moon sect, I was delayed. Chu Xiong said slowly, I will come to see His Highness as soon as I am done with the affairs of the Cold Moon sect. As he said that, he quietly took out a storage bag and said, Your Highness, here are all the delicacies I secretly brought to you. You can eat them when you are free. You have a heart. Qin Feng smiled and accepted the storage bag. Although the delicacies in this world are not as delicious as those made by himself, this is Chu Xiong's wish after all. Your Highness, have you heard about the Cold Moon sect? Chu Xiong said mysteriously. What's the matter? Qin Feng asked pretending to be puzzled. Hey! I knew you must have never heard of it. I'm afraid you would never have imagined that a girl like Meier, who is so kind to others, is actually possessed by a demon. Chu Xiong smiled, and immediately told Qin Feng about the Cold Moon sect. He felt that Qin Feng must have been very bored staying in the Imperial tomb, so this story also relieved Qin Feng's boredom. What Chu Xiong said, and the cooperation between the Cold Moon sect and the evil spirits, Qin Feng knew about the same. The only thing he didn't know was that the Hanyu sect was wiped out by several great dynasties, which caused quite a stir in the Kanglen domain. Many powerful sects that were originally in full swing also suffered a blow to their reputation because of being implicated. This is good news for several great dynasties. However, although Qin Feng didn't know it before, he also expected that several great dynasties would definitely not leave the Hanyu sect behind, and this would always be a disaster. In the evening, Chu Xiong was about to leave, but he seemed to have something to say, but he didn't know whether to say it or not. What's the matter? Tell me. Qin Feng looked at his appearance and said lightly. Chu Xiong couldn't hide things in his heart. He could tell at a glance that Chu Xiong had something to say. I made a special inquiry some time ago. The Northern Devil Saint who was rescued by you has been in seclusion since returning to the wasteland and has never shown up. Chu Xiong said slowly. The reason why Qin Feng was said to be in collusion with the demon cult was because he accidentally rescued Huolinger, the saintess of the demon cult, and let her go when he was patrolling the north, so Chu Xiong guessed that Qin Feng must really want to know the information of the saint now, so he specially asked someone to inquire. Oh. Qin Feng said lightly, he has no interest in the Northern Demon sect saintess. Chu Xiong was startled when he heard this. For this woman, His Royal Highness even lost the crown prince, but he didn't react at all after hearing it. Is it just a one-night affair? Although there were many doubts in his heart, he didn't ask any more questions, and then he left. The army he was in was stationed tens of miles away from the Imperial City and was responsible for defending the Imperial City. The discipline was extremely strict, and he only had this day to rest. 3 days later, Qin Zining also came. She also participated in the Battle of Mihan, which was considered a special kind of experience. After all, in the process of her previous experience, she usually killed monsters, and rarely killed people. This special experience has brought her even greater growth. Uncle, he. After seeing Qin Feng, Qin Zining said happily, the current her, only when she is in front of Qin Feng, has this childlike appearance, whether it's her father or mother, seeing her like this, they will definitely reprimand her. She doesn't look like a princess. Are you back from training? Seeing Qin Zining coming to the Imperial Mausoleum, Qin Feng said with a smile. Kindness. Qin Zining nodded, and then said, I brought a lot of ingredients to Uncle Huang. As she spoke, she blinked her big eyes, her purpose self-evident. You are really my niece. Qin Feng couldn't help sighing. Chu Xiong was an outsider, and he knew how to send ready-made delicacies. It was good for Qin Zining, who sent the ingredients directly. He. During the years I've been outside, what I missed the most is the dishes made by the emperor. I eat barbecue in the mountains and forests every day. I'm too tired. Qin Zining said coquettishly. With her current cultivation base, she still needs to supplement with food occasionally, especially those meals made with ingredients rich in aura, and Warcraft meat is one of them. Qin Feng shook his head helplessly, then got up to cook for Qin Zining. Qin Zining was happily lying on the recliner, waiting for Qin Feng to cook, like a little ancestor. Chapter 37. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, the meal that Qin Feng had put a lot of pills in was ready and placed on the stone table. There are more than a dozen of them, which are incomparably rich. Wow! It's so fragrant. Qin Zining's saliva was about to flow out, and she couldn't wait to eat it. Would you like soup? Qin Feng asked. No, I don't like soup. Qin Zining shook her head. As she spoke, she took out a small jade bottle from the ring, which was full of sour plum juice. Seeing this, Qin Feng also gave up the idea of making a boiled bana flour, and lay back on his recliner. How did you gain from going out to practice? Qin Feng asked slowly. It seemed that he didn't know what happened in Qin Zining's experience before, like an uncle caring about his niece normally. Fortunately. While eating, Qin Zining continued, I encountered a little trouble when I was practicing in the Demon Mountain range. Trouble? Encountered the siege of demons inside? Qin Feng asked, pretending to be puzzled. No. Qin Zining shook her head, and then said, it's more troublesome than this. In the following time, Qin Zining told Qin Feng what happened in the Demon Mountain range. Thanks to the help of that mysterious swordsman, otherwise, I'm afraid I'll never come back. Qin Zining is still a little scared now. Really? Qin Feng nodded, and said, you have to be more careful in the future. Not only do not trust strangers, but also people you know well. Human nature is sinister. The reason why he took the initiative to ask was because he wanted to remind Qin Zining of this matter. Kindness. Qin Zining nodded heavily when she heard the words, keeping it in her heart. If Qin Feng had told her this before, she might not have cared so much, but after this experience, she would definitely remember it for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, I don't know what the mysterious strong man looks like. Qin Zining said with some disappointment. I always feel that his voice seems a little familiar, but after thinking about it many times, there is no sound that completely coincides with that person. It's probably a very old man with white hair. Qin Feng said indifferently, to have such a cultivation level, one must be at least several hundred years old. Uncertain. However, Qin Zining said, when the mysterious strong man drew his sword, even if he could only see the outline, he could feel that he had an outstanding demeanor, as if a sword fairy had descended from the mortal world, and he didn't look like a very old person. Qin Feng was taken aback. I sighed in my heart, is this a woman's intuition? By the way, isn't the emperor surprised at all that the mysterious strong man can enter the blocked mountain range? Qin Zining suddenly noticed something was wrong, and asked suspiciously. Probably because I'm too weak, and such a unparalleled powerhouse is too far away from my world, so I don't feel much. Qin Feng pondered for a while, and said slowly. Qin Zining nodded, feeling in her heart that Emperor Xia was too strict with Qin Feng, and it was fine to let Qin Feng guard the imperial tomb, but he still refused to let him practice. Uncle Huang can't think like that. A strong man like that must have his own troubles. He must be busy practicing all day long. He is not as free as Uncle Huang. Qin Zining comforted Qin Feng, saying, maybe he is worrying about the huge cultivation resources he needs to advance. Possible. Qin Feng smiled and nodded. It would be great if I had the opportunity to meet that mysterious strong man again. I would like to thank him properly and see if it is someone I have met before. Qin Zining's small face was full of disappointment and sighed. No need to do this, maybe we will meet again in the future. This time it was Qin Feng's turn to comfort Qin Zining. However, Qin Zining shook her head, and said bitterly, such a strong person may not leave the customs once in decades, and the ones that go out must be dangerous places. If I can meet it once, I am already lucky. How can I have the chance to meet it a second time? Qin Feng smiled lightly when he heard this, and didn't speak any more. After Qin Zining finished her meal, she helped Qin Feng wash the tableware and even cleaned it before leaving. In a mountain range on the border of the Great Xia dynasty, on a mountain peak, there are dilapidated buildings everywhere. The former sect of exorcising corpses now only remains in ruins. The corpses that had not been successfully refined were also burned clean. On weekdays, even mercenaries who went hunting in the mountains would stay away from this place. He was afraid that he would be arrested and interrogated by Jiniwei, who was a disciple of the exorcising corpse sect. After a long time, this place has become a paradise for monsters. Roar. In the early morning of one day, in the quiet ruins, the roar of a monster suddenly sounded. A gigantic griffin was a fourth-tier high-level monster, comparable to a strong man at the peak of the 9 heavens in the Luanhai realm, but at this moment, his face was full of horror, and he spread his huge wings, intending to fly away. However, a strange rhythm sounded. A figure covered in decay took a few steps and came to the side of the griffin, grabbed its wings and tore them off, hit the ground hard. Roar. The griffin screamed in pain, but before it could struggle, it was dealt with by the ancient corpse. At the same time, other monsters living here were also attacked by ancient corpses. Several normal figures appeared in front of the ruined hall. His eyes were full of anger and coldness. Great Xia dynasty. I will make them repay everything they have done. Yu Cheng, the suzerain of the corpse exorcism sect, looked at the ruins here and roared angrily. Sovereign, I think the plan to directly attack the Great Xia Palace needs to be renegotiated. It's too risky. The great elder of the exorcising sect said solemnly. What's the risk? Now we have 25 ancient corpses from the first level of the Purple Mansion realm, and 3 ancient corpses from the second level of the Purple Mansion realm, and in the imperial city of Great Xia, besides the startling dragon array, what else can fight against us? Yu Cheng said coldly, in the past few years, they have been hiding around like street rats, but heaven has eyes, and they finally got their chance. The Cold Moon sect was exterminated. The Hanyue sect was originally full of women, and the Yin energy was already strong. After the sect was exterminated, resentment and Yin energy were intertwined, and it was even more abundant to the extreme. Using this majestic Yin energy, they easily awakened the ancient corpses that were still able to fight in the corpse hiding place of the sect. These ancient corpses add up to an incomparably astonishing combat power. But after the Cold Moon sect was destroyed, the strength of several great dynasties has also been strengthened. After obtaining a large amount of cultivation resources, there have been several powerhouses at the first level of the Zifu realm. The third elder of the exorcising corpse sect said bitterly, they are cooperating with the startling dragon array. It is too difficult for us to forcibly break into the palace. Don't worry. I have a double plan to attack the palace this time. Yu Cheng said coldly, whether you can break into the palace or not, it will be of great benefit. Chapter 38. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the next 6 months, the entire Great Xia dynasty was in turmoil. Everywhere there are corpse exorcisers making chaos, and the people are in panic. There were even rumors that the members of the corpse exorcist sect used the past few years to refine thousands of ancient corpses. Shenbing dynasty was going to the east of the dynasty, where he wanted to kill and collect Yin Qi. All of a sudden, the people in the eastern cities fled one after another, for fear of becoming the prey of the exorcists. In order to stabilize the hearts of the people, the imperial court had to mobilize the army and rush towards the east of the imperial dynasty. Only a large number of troops can stabilize the hearts of the people and prevent them from fleeing. One evening, in the imperial study room, several ministers were reporting to Emperor Xia. Your Majesty, now the vassal kings of various places wantonly annex land, and many people are displaced and can only sell themselves as slaves. I am afraid that the imperial court should take care of it. Minister of the Ministry of Punishment said respectfully, the letters reprimanding the vassals sent to him by officials from all over the country have already piled up his desk. These are just those officials who have different character and integrity. These vassal kings have too much power, we must control them. Qin Jianyan was also filled with righteous indignation. Presumptuous, that when Emperor Xia heard the words, he scolded angrily, saying, the vassal kings of various places were entrusted by the Emperor Taizu, and they have been passed down for thousands of years. How can you, a prince, be able to discuss it? When Qin Junyan heard the words, he quickly admitted his mistake. Several other ministers also spoke up one after another, saying good things for Qin Junyan, saying that he was also young and ignorant. Pass down the decree, let the vassal princes from all over the place take out some good land and distribute it to the people, so as to reassure the people. Emperor Xia said lightly. According to the order. A minister said respectfully. Afterwards, everyone started talking about the exorcising corpses. Your Majesty, the corpse exorcists are making trouble everywhere, but the place where the corpse exorcists appear most frequently is in the east. Presumably the rioters in other places are just pretense. Their target should be the large cities with a large population in the east. I am afraid they want to massacre the people and collect yin qi. A minister reported to Emperor Xia respectfully. Is the troops transferred from the imperial camp to the east on their way? Emperor Xia asked lightly. Now the army in the imperial dynasty is mainly concentrated in the north to frighten the northern barbarians and the people of the demon cult. There are also some troops in the west, but it will take too long to move to the east, so he ordered the mobilization of troops from the imperial city to the east. Already set off. Minister of the Ministry of War said respectfully. Emperor Xia nodded. Father, the imperial city camp has a total of 3 people. Now that, people have been transferred away at once, won't the imperial city be empty? Qin Junyan said with some worry in his heart. He felt that even if the target of the exorcist sect was really the big cities in the east, they shouldn't be dispatched from the imperial camp. It's not that he is afraid of death, but that if there is chaos in the imperial city, the entire dynasty will be in turmoil. At that time, if the world is in chaos, more people will suffer. Why? Don't you think those who drive corpses dare to attack the imperial city? Emperor Xia sneered. He is very dissatisfied. His son is usually cautious, and his personality is completely opposite to his, which makes him very dissatisfied. This, is my son worrying too much? Qin Junyan could only say helplessly. Afterwards, Emperor Xia prepared to hold a banquet, and asked many ministers to stay for a meal to comfort them for their hard work during this time. Boom boom. However, at this moment, a deafening sound suddenly sounded. In the entire imperial palace, in the important halls, there are patterns lit up, emitting a faint light. The startling dragon array started to operate by itself. What's going on? How did the startling dragon array work by itself? Is there a big enemy? This sudden change immediately surprised many ministers who were preparing to eat, with extremely shocked expressions, and looked outside. Under normal circumstances, only under the order of the Emperor Xia, the startling dragon array would operate, but there are also special cases. If there are a large number of powerful people pouring into the imperial city, the shocking dragon formation will start to operate by itself after sensing it, and every time the startling dragon formation operates on its own, it means that a big crisis is coming. The last time the shocking dragon formation operated on its own was 5,000 years ago, and some demons who survived the Great Demon Sealing War sneaked into the imperial city. They didn't expect that at this time, the startling dragon array would start to work again. Shua! 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 Emperor Xia and the others quickly walked out of the palace and came to the square outside. At this time, the powerful royal family who was in charge of the formation Ipesel also came. What happened? Xia Huang asked in a deep voice. I don't know either. The startling dragon array started to operate without any warning. It should be that someone strong has entered the imperial city. The powerful man in charge of the royal family said in a deep voice. At the same time, more than a dozen figures rushed over one after another. They are all strong men sitting in the imperial palace, with cultivation bases of the 9th heaven in the Luanhai realm. The startling dragon array was in motion. Something big was bound to happen, and they left the customs one after another. Jiniwei! Where are the people from Jiniwei? Emperor Xia shouted angrily. At this time, Jiniwei's governor had already arrived. Your Majesty, all the generals guarding the 4 gates of the city have been killed. The person who took action is probably from the corpse exorcism sect, the envoy of Jiniwei said with a gloomy expression. Jiniwei's intelligence is all over the sky. Someone is at the foot of the city gate of the imperial city. He has been doing business for decades. He looks like an ordinary businessman, but in fact he is a secret agent of Qin Wei. Pay attention to every move in the Imperial City. The commanders guarding the city gate had just been killed, so he had already received the news. What? People from the corpse exorcism sect have come to the Imperial City. That Emperor Xia's face turned livid in an instant, extremely angry. He had just said convincingly that the exorcist faction would never dare to come to the Imperial City, but he didn't expect to be slapped in the face in an instant. The guards of the 4 city gates are all at the 5th level of the Luanhai realm, and there are still a large number of soldiers who can be combined into a battle formation, but now they are quietly killed at the same time. It seems that the exorcist faction this time there are many powerful ancient corpses. I came prepared. Old Chen said with a serious expression. He is already in the middle stage of the Zifu realm first layer, but there was still great uneasiness in his heart. Decree, let the army headed to the east return immediately, and all the Imperial Forest troops are ready to meet the enemy. Emperor Xia coldly shouted, and quickly sent out orders one after another. He was also very uneasy, thinking that the corpse exorcist faction dared to attack the Imperial City at this time. There must be many powerful ancient corpses. According to the order. The governor of Jinui respectfully agreed, hastily asked someone to deliver the order, but at this moment, dozens of figures suddenly appeared in the sky. All of them were rotten ancient corpses, exuding terrifying cultivation bases. He looked down blankly. At this time, the eyes of the people in the entire Imperial City were drawn here. Seeing these terrifying ancient corpses, some were frightened and some prayed. In any case, they were unwilling to be ruled by exorcists. Chapter 39 The Great War. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are so many powerful ancient corpses. Not only are there more than 20 Purple Mansion Realm first-level heavens, but there are also 3 Purple Mansion Realm second-level heavens. Seeing these powerful ancient corpses, the faces of Chen Lao and the others were extremely ugly. They didn't expect that in just a few years, there would be so many powerful ancient corpses in the corpse exorcism faction. The strength is too strong, among them. The 3 strongest people are only at the first level of the Zifu realm. Haha. I didn't expect that. This palace is my goal. An ancient corpse opened his mouth and laughed loudly. The person who spoke was not the ancient corpse, but Yu Cheng, the suzerain of the corpse exorcising sect, who was using him to transmit the sound. Because the cultivation base of Yu Cheng and others is too weak, they hide in the dark, control these ancient corpses, and prevent them from being accidentally injured during the battle. Yu Cheng. You really dared to attack the Imperial Palace. There is an array of startled dragons. Today, all these ancient corpses will be buried here. Emperor Xia said solemnly. During the speech, the entire shocking dragon formation has been fully activated. Above the array patterns, there is a golden brilliance floating slowly, quickly condensing in the sky. Not long after, a phantom of a dragon's soul appeared in the sky. Roar! A dragon chant resounded through the world. The phantom of the dragon's soul was incomparably blurred, with only one outline. But even so, the coercion released was still extremely terrifying. Countless people in the Imperial City were shocked when they saw the phantom of the dragon's soul. It was the first time they saw the legendary dragon, and some even knelt down and worshipped it. Humph. Let's see, who will have the last laugh today. Yu Cheng snorted coldly. Following his words, these ancient corpses rushed towards the phantom of the dragon's soul. The 2 sides fought fiercely together. Yu Cheng knew that if he wanted to win the palace, he had to destroy the dragon's soul. Otherwise, let the dragon souls break down one by one, and these ancient corpses will die here today. Boom, boom, boom. The fierce battle broke out in the sky immediately. Dazzling rays of light illuminated the entire night sky. Those ancient corpses unceasingly displayed powerful martial skills, hitting the phantom of the dragon's soul, and dragon's soul phantom, like them, didn't feel any pain, and kept colliding with these ancient corpses. It's just that there are too many of these ancient corpses, and they are very strong. The phantom of the dragon's soul does not have any advantage. On the contrary, if the battle continues, it is almost certain that those ancient corpses will definitely crush the phantom of the dragon's soul. Yu Linjun, shoot arrows. Below, the commander of the Royal Forest Army shouted loudly. The archers and imperial guards below had already made their preparations, and at this moment, arrows wrapped in aura burst out. With so many arrows wrapped in spiritual energy, they shot up against the sky, and the scene was extremely spectacular. Boom, boom, boom. These arrows collided with those ancient corpses, bursting out bursts of violent energy fluctuations. The sky is full of dazzling light. However, although these arrows can slow down the speed of these ancient corpses, it is difficult to really hurt them. I'll wait and harass those ancient corpses. Old Chen said in a deep voice, there are so many of them, although most of them are from the 9th level of the Luanhai realm, but harassing those ancient corpses can also bring a lot of help to the phantom of the dragon soul. The other royal families also nodded their heads. Shwa. 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 Many figures rose from the sky one after another, and flew towards the sky, except for Chen Lao and the other 2 masters of swordsmanship in the first layer of the purple mansion. The others were in the outer area, attacking the ancient corpses who were fighting with the dragon soul from a long distance. Once those ancient corpses turn back to attack them, they will not relish fighting and immediately retreat. However, despite this, there are still royal family priests who are seriously injured, because the gap between the 9th level of Luanhai realm and the 1st level of Zifu realm is too great. The ancient corpse has obvious advantages. Under the siege of many ancient corpses, the phantom of the dragon soul is constantly blurring. Father, why don't you leave the palace first and go to the camp outside the imperial city? There are still, troops there, and there are formations in the camp, so it should be no problem to protect you. Qin Jianyan said to Emperor Xia. However, when Emperor Xia heard the words, he ignored them at all, and said coldly, it's just wishful thinking for a little corpse chaser to make this emperor flee. After all, dazzling light slowly surged around his body, and his aura began to soar. The luck of the dynasty is blessed. In the blink of an eye, his cultivation had already been promoted to the middle stage of the 2nd heavenly layer of the Zifu realm. Ha! Emperor Xia rose into the air and fought with these ancient corpses. The battle suddenly became more intense. Originally, the battle situation where the ancient corpses had the upper hand changed accordingly, entering a delicate balance. In a short time, no one can break it. In Taizu Imperial Mausoleum, Qin Feng naturally saw the battle in the sky. Qin Feng was about to make a move, but suddenly he frowned slightly and looked in the opposite direction. There were 2 figures flying towards the Imperial Mausoleum. Moreover, he is obviously a member of the corpse exorcism sect. At this time, all the power of the startling dragon formation was used to condense the phantom of the giant dragon, and the attention of the Imperial Forest Army was also in the sky, so those 2 figures were only the 7th level figures of the Luanhai realm. Shuttling through the palace, not noticed by anyone, not long after, the 2 figures were already very close to the Imperial Mausoleum. Brother, we have to be careful, we are worried that there are strong guards in this imperial tomb. One of them said solemnly. There's no need to be so cautious. Now the strong men in the entire palace are attracted by our ancient corpses. Who has the time to take care of this? The one-eyed guy next to him said indifferently. Hearing this, his younger brother nodded lightly, and then said excitedly, if we can directly steal the body of their Emperor Taizu this time and refine it, then the strength of our sect will definitely be improved several times. Grade. This is the real purpose of their attack on the palace this time. Yu Cheng and the others carefully deduced that if they really wanted to break through the palace, they would have to pay a huge price, and they might not succeed. Even if they succeeded, they would be surrounded by returning troops, no real benefit at all, and if they take the opportunity to steal the body of Emperor Taizu of the Great Xia royal family and refine it, it will not only make the Great Xia royal family faceless, but also greatly improve the strength of their sect. Now the power of the formation is supplied to the dragon souls in the sky. This is the moment when the formation in the Imperial Mausoleum is weakest. They can easily break through it with secret treasures. At that time, you and I will be the biggest heroes of the sect. The one-eyed eyes were also full of excitement. While speaking, the 2 had already entered the Imperial tomb. Chapter 40. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is that man? As soon as he entered the Imperial tomb, that junior exclaimed. He saw Qin Feng, who was standing beside a reclining chair, watching the 2 of them quietly. It's just a waste prince, don't care about him, just kill him. The one-eyed guy said indifferently. While speaking, these two people had already come to a position very close to Qin Feng. Although they were a little curious as to why Qin Feng was not surprised to see them at all, they felt that he might have gone mad after guarding the imperial tomb for too long. After all, few of the deposed princes are still in their right minds. The one-eyed junior brother wanted to attack Qin Feng. I said, "What are you two doing here? It turns out that you are digging graves." Qin Feng couldn't help but shook his head and said, "The members of the corpse chaser sect are indeed a bunch of low-ranking fellows." As soon as these words came out, Cyclops and his junior brother all changed their expressions. They were extremely ugly. What they hate the most is when others mock them for digging other people's graves. "Boy, you could have died happily, but now, I'm going to refine you into a corpse for my use." Cyclops gritted his teeth. As he said that, he wanted to attack Qin Feng himself. Shoo! However, at this moment, Qin Feng took a step forward and came directly in front of him, reached out and grabbed his neck, and said indifferently, "You should know where your suzerain is hiding." Yu Cheng, the suzerain of the corpse exorcism sect, never showed up because their cultivation base was too weak. They secretly manipulated the ancient corpses to prevent them from being attacked and killed by the powerful royal family. Now that these two people are coming to die, Qin Feng can just use this to find out where they are hiding in Yucheng. The one-eyed dragon's face changed suddenly, and he was extremely frightened, as if he had seen a ghost. Unexpectedly, Qin Feng, a deposed prince, would be so strong that he would have no power to fight back. What are you doing?" When he heard Qin Feng say that he wanted to know the location of Yucheng, he suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart and asked in horror, but Qin Feng ignored him, and a mysterious rune appeared in his eyes. "Ah, junior brother, save me!" The one-eyed dragon suddenly let out a painful scream. Qin Feng could arbitrarily examine his consciousness, causing him terrific pain. When his junior brother saw him being easily controlled by Qin Feng, he froze in shock and nodded immediately after hearing the words, "Then turn around and run. This waste prince is really terrible." Pfft. However, a sword glow that Qin Feng flicked out lightly chopped Cyclops' junior brother into pieces. Severed limbs and broken arms were scattered all over the ground. At the same time, he also withdrew his eyes for observing the one-eyed dragon's consciousness, and solved it in an instant. Yendang Mountain. Qin Feng murmured. From the memory of this one-eyed dragon, he learned that the suzerain and others of the corpse exorcism sect were hiding in Yendang Mountain and manipulating the ancient corpses that invaded the palace. It seems that the crisis in the palace can't be managed for the time being. Qin Feng glanced at the large group of ancient corpses in the distant sky, and said calmly, "If he acted rashly now to deal with these ancient corpses, then the suzerain Yu Cheng and others of the corpse exorcist sect would definitely take the opportunity to escape. It is impossible for him to get rid of the exorcist faction in one fell swoop." These people came to the Imperial Mausoleum time and time again, disturbing his cultivation and rest, which already made him angry, only by getting rid of all these key figures, can we put an end to our worries forever. Afterwards, Qin Feng withdrew his gaze, flicked his fingers, and two flames shot towards the two corpses. The body was quickly burnt clean, leaving no ashes. Then Qin Feng left the palace. Yendang Mountain is very far away from the imperial city, and it is very inconspicuous. Not even any mercenaries are willing to come here. In the dense forest at this time, there were dozens of figures, and they didn't have a strong aura, but each of them was holding a ghost weapon, standing in a formation with a radius of tens of feet. This is how they manipulated those ancient corpses from a distance. This startling dragon array is too powerful. If we really want to take down the palace, we will definitely not be able to bear the price we have to pay. The elder of the exorcism sect said in a deep voice. Even though they were far apart, they could still clearly see what happened above the palace with the help of those ancient corpses. Calculating the time, the two of them, One Eye, should have already dug up the body of the Emperor Taizu of the Daxia royal family. Yu Cheng said flatly, "Once they come back, we will leave." After seeing the dragon soul condensed in the startling dragon formation, he had already decided to carry out the previous plan thoroughly. He. When the time comes, we will use the corpse of their Emperor Taizu to massacre their army and civilians. I'm afraid they will all be pissed off. The third elder of the exorcising corpse sect smiled grimly. The other corpse exorcists also sneered. their vengeance for exterminating the clan thousands of years ago can finally be avenged now. However, at this moment, in the distance, a figure suddenly flew over and landed not far away in the dense forest. Shwa! 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 At the same time, the three ancient corpses that Yu Qing stayed behind to protect them moved in an instant, attacking and killing the figure. After all, this place is deep in the mountains and old forests, and there might be powerful monsters there, so he deliberately left three ancient corpses from the first level of the Purple Mansion realm to protect their safety. Who is that person? Could it be someone from the great Xia royal family who discovered us? That the great elder of the exorcising sect asked in surprise. Impossible, our location is so secret, how could people from the great Xia royal family find us? The third elder immediately became the Tao. Only the core members of the exorcist faction know about their actions, otherwise, even Genie Wei would not be able to investigate. It's probably someone passing by. Don't worry about him, those three ancient corpses are all at the first level of the Zifu realm, killing him must be easy. The rest of the corpse sect didn't care too much. In the great Xia dynasty, there was no one who could stop the siege of the three Purple Mansion realm first layer ancient corpses. Naturally, they didn't think that the figure that fell in the dense forest not far away could deal with these three ancient corpses. They all regarded Qin Feng as a poor person who passed by here and would be unfortunately killed in the end. Boom! And at this moment, the three ancient corpses bombarded Qin Feng, causing extremely violent fluctuations. Large tracts of ancient trees were uprooted and turned into ashes in the air, and Qin Feng, who had just landed, looked at the three ancient corpses that were blocked half a foot away by the spiritual energy outside his body, and said indifferently, "Old man, don't talk about martial arts." Afterwards, even more astonishing aura fluctuations were released from his body, those three ugly and rotten ancient corpses. It was torn to pieces in an instant, limbs and broken arms are everywhere. Qin Feng looked at Yu Qing and the others not far away, and walked over slowly. Chapter 41. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Originally, Yu Qing and others thought that Qin Feng would surely die if he was besieged by three ancient corpses from the first level of the Purple Mansion realm, but I didn't expect that after the violent energy fluctuation, Qin Feng didn't look injured at all, but their three ancient corpses were easily wiped out. For a while, they doubted life. Some people even think that they are old and dim-sighted, and they have made a mistake. But after rubbing his eyes, he realized that he was right. And was even more shocked. This guy looks young, how can he be so strong? That the voice of the great elder of the corpse exorcism sect was full of horror. When he spoke, his voice trembled. However, no one answered his question, and the other members of the exorcising sect were all stunned in shock at the moment. The core members of the corpse sect should all be here, right? Qin Feng asked lightly. You, who are you? That it was only at this time that Yu Qing recovered from the shock and asked in horror. Can't you tell? Of course it's Prince Daxia. Qin Feng frowned. He is wearing clothes that can only be worn by a prince. Doesn't his temperament fit him? This is too hurtful. How is it possible? Great Xia royal family. When did you become such a young but powerful person? Yu Qing was simply unbelievable. In terms of age, Qin Feng is definitely not more than 50 years old, but the strength Qin Feng showed just now is probably at least at the second level of the Zifu realm, not to mention the great Xia dynasty. In the entire Kanglan region, even in the most prosperous period of martial arts, there has never been such a monstrosity. Believe it or not, telling you this is just to make you understand. Qin Feng said lightly. As he spoke, the astonishing sword intent began to condense between his fingers. The raging sword energy surrounded his body, which was extremely terrifying. All the members of the corpse exorcism sect showed terrified expressions, feeling the threat of death, and even their legs were trembling with fright. Bastard! I didn't expect you to push me to this point. Yu Qing was furious. In his hand, there was an extra pitch-black pill, and he said through gritted teeth, even if you are at the second level of Zifu realm, you will die here today. As soon as the words fell, he swallowed the elixir, and the majestic yin qi rushed into Yu Qing's limbs and bones frantically. What? Yu Qing raised his head to the sky and roared in pain. Originally only middle-aged Yu Qing, the vitality of his body began to drain rapidly, and the skin on his body also began to dry up and rot rapidly. Almost instantly, his whole body looked like a corpse, and his aura has also been greatly strengthened, and it has reached the middle stage of the third heaven of the Purple Mansion realm. The Living Dead Pill. The suzerain has found the rarest living dead pill in the sect, and wants to turn into a living dead. All the corpse exorcists turn pale with shock. The living dead pill is an extremely rare pill even in the peak period of the corpse sect, and it can only be refined by a 5th level top-grade poison trainer, but now in the entire Kanglan territory, there are no 5th level top-rank poison refiners and pharmacists. They didn't expect that Yuqing had already found this ancient medicine, not to mention that Yuqing would choose to swallow it. You must know that after turning into a living dead, although the cultivation level can be greatly improved, you can also absorb yin qi for cultivation in the future. Without consuming cultivation resources, even the lifespan will be greatly enhanced, but the cost is also huge. The whole body will rot, and there is no way to recover forever, no different from a corpse. Moreover, on the night of the full moon every month, she will fall into madness, which is extremely terrifying. Even at the peak of the corpse sect, few people were willing to turn themselves into living dead. To say that the exorcist faction is a low class, now it seems that there is no injustice at all. Qin Feng looked at Yuqing, who had turned into a living dead, and said coldly, "You can actually do things like turning yourself into a living dead." "You forced me," Yuqing said angrily. "Even if you become a living dead, it's better than being killed by you now." He was naturally very unwilling to become a living dead, otherwise, it would have changed a long time ago, and it would be easier to capture the palace. But if you become a living dead and cannot enjoy the prosperity of the world, what's the point? But now that Qin Feng appeared, he had to make this painful decision. For him, life is worse than death. It's a pity that you still can't live today. Doing so is just adding pain to yourself. Qin Feng said with some pity. "Humph. You are still pretending to be dead when you are about to die. Could it be that your cultivation has already reached the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion realm?" Yuqing snorted coldly, feeling that Qin Feng was just putting on an act. While speaking, yin qi billowed in his body and was released. Wherever it passed, all the flowers, plants and trees instantly withered and lost their vitality. Boom! Carrying this terrible yin energy, Yuqing blasted towards Qin Feng. His own cultivation base is not strong, so he does not have many powerful martial arts, but he felt that his cultivation was definitely higher than Qin Feng's, and even an ordinary punch could kill Qin Feng. Chong! However, at this moment, an even more astonishing sword intent was released from Qin Feng's body, covering a radius of tens of miles. The sound of the sword's cry resounded through the world, and the sword light on Qin Feng's fingertips also instantly became more astonishing and dazzling. Ha! The sword light exploded towards Yuqing. Wherever it passed, the sound of piercing the sky was deafening. Pft! Almost without any accident, the sword light easily passed through Yuqing's body. Black blood splattered all over the ground. There was a bloody hole in his chest. How could this be? Yuqing's eyes were already empty and lifeless, but at this moment his eyes were even more empty and lifeless. It was hard for him to believe that even though he was already at the middle stage of the 3rd layer of the Zifu realm, he still didn't even have the qualifications to touch Qin Feng. How could this prince be so terrifying? However, before he had time to think about it, he lost his breath and fell to the ground. Then Qin Feng's eyes began to look at the other people. Run! Run! The great elders of the corpse exorcist sect, before they could react from the shock, noticed that Qin Feng's eyes were looking at him, and it was as if they saw an ancient beast in an instant, turn around and flee in all directions. It's a pity that what they were facing was Qin Feng, who had no bad habit of letting the tiger go back to the mountain at all, especially since they have disturbed Qin Feng twice. Shwa! 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 Several sword beams shot towards these people. One by one, the elders of the exorcist sect were impaled on the body and died on the spot. None of them thought that today's flawless plan would fail like this.